Hello everyone. Let us continue our discussion about the data warehousing concepts. In this video, we are going to discuss about the data modeling for data warehouses. Data warehouse modeling is the process of designing the schemas of the detailed and summarized information stored in the data warehouse. So it is the process of designing the schemas. Okay. Through these schemas, the data warehouse clients can visualize the relationships among the data stored in the warehouse. And a well-designed schema allows an effective data warehouse structure, and that thereby decreases the cost of implementing this warehouse. So if it is a well-designed schema, it reduces the complexity of the structure, and thereby the cost of implementation of this warehouse will be decreased, and thereby it increases the efficiency of the data access. Okay. A multidimensional data model in data warehouse is a model which represents the data in the form of data cubes. So this is a schema where we are representing the data in data cubes. Okay, so it allows to model and view the data in multiple dimensions. Okay. As we just said, a data warehouse is based on a multidimensional data model which views the data in the form of data cubes. Okay, a data cube allows the data to be modeled and viewed in multiple dimensions. So we can have n dimensions. We can view the data in n dimensions. Okay, so in data warehousing architecture, an n dimensional base cube is called a base cuboid. Okay, n-dimensional base cube is called base cuboid. So if you're having three-dimensional base cube, then it is a three-dimensional base cuboid. Okay, the topmost zero-dimensional cuboid can be called as apex cuboid, which holds the highest level of summarization, and it is typically denoted by all. Okay, so this apex cuboid represents the highest level of summarization and is denoted by all. Okay, and the lattice of cuboids forms a data cube. Okay, so in this given figure, the zero dimensional to the zero dimensional cuboid, we are adding attributes. Okay, so we are having three attributes here: product, date, and country. So these three attributes represents the one dimensional cuboids. Okay, and if you are adding another attribute to each of these single attributes, we'll be getting two-dimensional cuboids. Okay, so we are combining this product and date to form the product date, then the product country, similarly the date country. So that represents the two-dimensional cuboids. Okay, then by combining this product date and country together, we will be getting this 3D cuboid. Okay, so we'll be having three dimensions. What are the three dimensions? We are having three attributes here, right? The product, date, and country. So it is a three-dimensional cuboid. Okay, the cuboid which consists of more than three dimensions can be called as hypercubes. Okay, it can be called as hypercubes. If the cuboid consists of more than three dimensions, it can be called as hypercubes. Okay, fine. So as we just said, a data cube allows the data to be modeled and viewed in multiple dimensions. Okay, these dimensions are the perspectives or entities with respect to which an organization wants to keep records. Okay, if you're having a matrix like information, then it can be called as a two-dimensional data, which consists of only rows and columns, right? So it is a two-dimensional data. Okay, if we are adding one more dimensions to this two-dimensional data, we'll be getting a three-dimensional data cube. Okay, so these dimensions are nothing but the entities with respect to which this organization keeps records. Okay, so we are keeping the records based on the product, the region, and based on the time period, quarter. Okay, so we are considering three factors in the three-dimensional data cube: the product, the region, as well as the time period. Okay, that's the three-dimensional data cube. Data that are stored in the data cube can be queried directly in any combination of dimensions. For example, we can have a query based on the dimensions product and date, or we can have a query based on product as well as country. Okay, so we can have the queries in based on any combination of dimensions. Okay, various tools are existing for viewing the data according to the user's choice of dimensions. So the user can select the dimensions. Okay. Changing from one dimensional hierarchy to another is easily accomplished in a data cube with a technique called pivoting. It can also be called as rotation. It is one of the operations that can be performed on this data cube. Okay, so pivoting, using pivoting, we can change from one dimensional hierarchy to another. Then, the multidimensional models provide hierarchical views by roll-up display and drill-down display. So, this roll-up and drill-down are another two operations that can be performed on this data warehouses. Okay, so using this roll-up and drill-down, we can have hierarchical views on this multidimensional models. Okay. So we just said about the term pivoting, roll up, roll down, etc. Right? So these are the various OLAP operations. Okay. Now let's discuss about the various OLAP operations that can be performed on this multidimensional model. Okay. The various operations are roll up, roll down, slice, dice, pivot, etc. First, let us discuss about the roll up operation. Can also be called as drill up. Okay. So it summarizes the data by dimension reduction. Okay, so one or more dimensions are removed from the given cube. For example, if the sales cube contains two dimensions, location and time, this roll-up may be performed by removing one of the dimension. For example, the time can be removed. So it summarizes the data only based on the location, only based on the dimension location. So the roll-up operation summarizes the data by dimension reduction. It removes one or more dimensions from the given cube. Okay. So that's the roll-up operation. Okay. Roll down or the drill down, it is just the reverse of this roll-up operation. It adds more detail to the given data. So it can be performed by adding new dimensions to a cube. The roll up means we are removing the dimensions, right? But in the case of roll down, we are adding more and more dimensions. We are adding more and more details to the given data. That, for example, drilling down the time hierarchy, the total sales per month rather than summarizing them by quarter can be displayed. Okay, so quarter means we'll be considering only 4 months. Okay, we'll be getting the data, summarized data about 4 months. But if you're drilling down the time hierarchy, we can get the total sales per month. Okay, instead of that 4 month details, we can get, or we can get it for the, per month. Okay, so we can drill down this time hierarchy. Okay, we can add more detail to the given data. Okay, then the third operation is slice operation. It performs a selection on one dimension of the given cube, resulting in a subcube. So it selects one dimension from the given cube and will be resulting out with a subcube. Then the dice operation defines a subcube by performing a selection on two or more dimensions. Dice means it defines a subcube by performing a selection of two or more dimensions. Slice means it performs a selection on one dimension of the given cube. Dice means it selects on two or more dimensions. Then the next operation is pivot, or can also be called as rotate, a visualization operation that rotates the data axis in view in order to provide an alternative representation of the data. So we can view in different angle. We can rotate the data axis to view, to have an alternative view of data. And the next operation is sorting. The data can be sorted by an ordinal value. This multidimensional storage model involves two types of tables, okay, dimension tables and fact tables. Okay, a dimension table consists of the details about the dimensions, about the attributes. Okay, it consists of tuples of attributes of the dimension. For example, item with the attributes item name, brand, type, or time with the attributes day, week, month, quarter, year. So this dimension tables consists of tuples of attributes of the dimension. Then, as we know, this multidimensional data model or the data warehouse is subject oriented, right? So it is based on a theme or a subject, okay? And these details are stored in the fact table, okay? So a multidimensional data model is usually organized based on a theme which is represented in the fact table. And each fact table consists of two values, a numerical measures and the pointers to the relational or the related dimension tables. Okay, it consists of the fact table consists of numerical measures such and pointers to each of the dimension tables. The fact table contains the data and the dimensions identify each tuple in that data. The fact table stores the details about the theme or the subject. It contains the data, and the dimension table consists of the tuples of attributes of the dimension. That is, it identifies each tuple in that data. We can model the data warehouses into three: star schema, snowflake schema, and factor constellations. Okay, so in the case of star schema, we'll be having a fact table in the middle and which is connected to a set of dimension tables and it resembles the shape of a star. So we'll be having a fact table in the middle and this fact table is connected to a set of dimension tables. Then the second model is snowflake schema. It is a refinement of the star schema where some dimensional hierarchy is normalized into a set of smaller dimensional tables, forming a shape of similar to snowflake. So some of the dimensional tables in the snowflake schema is a normalized one. Okay, so it is similar to this star schema, only with the difference that the sum of the dimensional tables are normalized. Then the third model is factor constellation, which consists of multiple fact tables which shares the dimension tables. Okay, so multiple fact tables share dimension tables can be viewed as a collection of stars and therefore it can also be called as galaxy schema or fact constellation. So we'll be having three models: star schema, snowflake schema, and fact constellations. Let us look into each schema in detail. So first let us look into the star schema. In this schema, the data warehouse consists of a large central table called a fact table containing the bulk of data with no redundancy, and also a set of smaller attendant tables also called as dimension tables, one for each dimension. And this schema resembles a star burst with the dimensional tables displayed in a radial pattern around the central fact table. So we'll be having at the center, we'll be having the fact table and the dimensional tables are displayed in a radial pattern towards this central fact table. Okay, each dimension is represented by a single table and each table contains a set of attributes. And this constraint introduces some redundancy in this schema. Okay, so each dimension can be represented in a single table and each table consists of a set of attributes which may lead to the redundancy problem. Now let's look at an example. Here we are having a fact table named sales fact table with a single table for each dimension. Okay, as we know, this fact table stores two values. The It contains numerical measures as well as pointers to each of the related dimensional tables. Okay, so here we are having four dimensional tables, namely time, item, branch, and location. So this fact table consists of a key value or a pointer to each of these four dimension tables. Okay, so a time key is connected to the dimension table time. So this dimension table consists of its own attributes. Okay, so the time dimensional table consists of the various attributes like time key, day of the week, month, quarter, and year. Okay, similarly, each of these four dimensional table consists of its own attributes, and the fact table consists of the pointers to each of these related dimensional tables. Okay, fine. Along with these pointers, this fact table also consists of some numerical values. Here we are having the numerical measures such as units sold, dollars sold, average sales, etc. And average sales. So we are having three measures are also defined in this sales fact table. The second type of schema is snowflake schema. It is a refinement of the star schema. Here, some of the dimension tables are normalized, thereby further splitting the data into additional tables. And this shape is now similar to a snowflake. Okay, so here also we'll be having only a single uh, central fact table. But the major difference between the star schema and the snowflake schema is some of the dimension tables in the snowflake schema are normalized. So how to normalize? We already know to normalize we have to decompose the relations, right? So the sum of the dimensional tables are normalized by splitting the data into additional tables. Okay. So this structure reduces the effectiveness of browsing since more joins will be needed to execute a query. Example, here also we are having a single central table named sales fact table, which consists of pointers to four dimension tables: time, branch, item, as well as location. But the difference here is that the item table as well as the location table is again decomposed. Okay, so the item table is decomposed into supplier and the location dimension table is again decomposed into city. Okay, so this location table will be having a key to the city dimension table. Okay, so it resembles a snowflake. So here also we'll be having only a single fact table which consists of keys to each of its related dimensional tables and also the numerical measures. Okay, so the only difference between this snowflake and this star schema is that some of the relations or some of the dimensional tables are normalized by splitting up into additional tables. Okay, that's about the snowflake schema. Type of schema is fact cancellation. Some of the sophisticated applications may require multiple fact tables to share dimension tables. Okay, so this dimensional tables can be shared by multiple fact tables. So in this star schema as well as in this snowflake schema, we'll be having only a single central fact table. But in the case of fact cancellation, we'll be having multiple fact tables. Okay, and this type of schema can be viewed as a collection of stars and hence it is called as galaxy schema or a fact cancellation. Why it is called as a collection of star schema? A single fact table along with its dimension table that forms a star schema. Again, another fact table with its associated dimensional tables form another star schema. Okay, so it is a collection of star schema which consists of multiple fact tables and many related dimension tables. Okay, so in this example we are having two fact tables, namely sales fact table as well as shipping fact table, and each of this fact table consists of keys to the related dimension tables as well as some numerical measures. Okay, the dimension table item and the location is shared by these two fact tables. Okay, the item and the location is shared by the sales fact table as well as the shipping fact table. So if you want the sum of the dimension tables shared by the fact tables, then we'll be using this fact reconciliation schema. It can also be called as galaxy schema. So these are the three types of schemas: the star schema, snowflake schema, and the fact reconciliation schema. Now let's discuss about the concept indexing. The data warehouse storage uses indexing techniques to support high performance access. As we know, with the help of this indexing, we can quickly search in the data cubes. It can be used for quick retrieval of data, right? Indexing can be used for quickly retrieving the data or quickly accessing the data. Okay, we can index the OLAP data by either bitmap indexing or join indexing. Let us discuss about these two in detail. Now let's look into bitmap indexing. This bitmap indexing allows quick searching in the data cubes. It is an alternative representation of record ID list, RID list. Okay, for a given attribute, there is a distinct bit vector BV for each V value in the domain of the attribute. Okay, so we'll be having a bit vector. Vector means a one-dimensional array. So it consists of V values in the domain of that particular attribute. Okay, if the domain of the attribute consists of n values, then n bits are needed for each entry in the bitmap index. For example, if the domain consists of 3 distinct values for an attribute, then 3 bits are needed for each entry in the bitmap index. Okay. And if the attribute has the value v for a given row in the data table, then the bit representing that value is set to 1 in the corresponding row of the bitmap index, and all other bits for that row are set to 0. Let's explain this concept with the help of an example. Okay. In this example, we are given with a table which consists of 3 attributes: cust, region, and type. And among these 3 attributes, cust is the primary key of the table. Okay, so as we know, there is no need to create separate indexing for this primary key. Okay, with the help of the primary key, we can easily retrieve the data. So no need to create separate index for the primary key. Okay, and we are left out with 2 attributes, region and type. Okay, we can create an index based on the region as well as type. First, let us look into this region. Okay, when we look into this region, the domain consists of 3 distinct values: Asia, Europe, and America. Okay, so in the table, we'll be having 3 attributes which is named as Asia, Europe, and America. Okay, so for the first record, the region is Asia, and so the corresponding value is set to 1, and the value for the Europe and America is set to 0. So we'll be having the first tuple as 100. Then for the second record ID, the region is Europe, and so the corresponding value is set to 1, and for the Asia and America we are setting it as 0, right? So for the second uh, record we are getting the combination 0 1 0. So similarly we can fill out the remaining entries also, right? So that is the index on based on the attribute region. Okay, now let's look into the index based on the attribute type. So when we look into the domain of the type, we'll be having only 2 distinct values: retail as well as dealer. Okay, so we'll be having 2 columns in the index value, the record ID as well as the retail and dealer. Okay, so the first record, the type is retail, so the retail value is 1 and the dealer value is 0. Similarly, for the second record, the type is dealer, and so the dealer value is 1 and the retail value is 0. Okay, so this is how we can create a bitmap indexing. Now let's look at another example. Here we given with a table called employee, which consists of 3 attributes: ID, gender and income level, where the ID is the primary key. Okay, so we can create bitmap index on either the attribute gender or the attribute income level. Okay, first let us look into the bitmap index for the attribute gender. Okay, so for the gender we are having two distinct values, m and f. Okay, so we'll be having 5 records. Okay, so the 5 bits will be there for representing the m, and similarly 5 bits are there for representing the value f. Okay, so the first bit is set to 1 as the record number. 0 will be having the gender as 1. Okay, so for the value m, the first bit is set to 1. The second and third number will be set to 0 because the record number 1 and 2 will be having the gender as f. And the third number, for the record number third, um, the gender is m, and so its value is set to 1. And for the record number 4, the gender is f, and so the corresponding value is set to 0. So for the value m, we got the 5 bit as 10010. So this 5 bits means that 5 rows are there in the table. Similarly, we can calculate the value of f. Okay, then when we look into the bitmap index for the income level, we can see that 4 distinct income levels are there: L1, L2, L3 and L4. Okay, so for the first record L1, the L1 is there for the record number 0 as well as for the record number 2, and so the corresponding bits are set to 1 and all the remaining bits are set to 0. Then similarly for the L4, only the record number 3 is having L4. So the second last bit is set to 1 and all the other bits are set to 0. Similarly, we can calculate the values for the L2 as well as L3. Okay. Now let's look into some of the advantages of this bitmap indexing. This method helps in faster retrieval of the records. It reduces the storage requirements compared to other indexing techniques, and it is very effective for queries that contain multiple conditions in the where clause. And bitmap indexes are intended for data warehousing applications where the users query the data rather than update it. That is, it is more efficient when the columns have least involved in insert, update or delete operations. It deals with more query operations. So these bitmap indexes are intended for the applications where the users are querying the data rather than updating it. Okay, these are some of the advantages of having this bitmap indexing. So in this video, we discussed about the various OLAP operations like roll up, roll down, slice, dice, etc. Then we discussed about the various schemas for representing the data warehouse like star schema, snowflake schema and galaxy schema. And we also discussed about the bitmap indexing concept. Thank you.